Site Induction, Bolton Raikes Lane Energy from Waste Facility, Recycling and Recovery UK, June 2025. Welcome. This induction explains health and safety rules for the site. It also gives valuable information about, but not limited to, fire and emergency procedures, access to site, accident reporting and first aid provisions, PPE, tools and equipment, welfare facilities, housekeeping, what we require from you. You will be required to pass a short test at the end of this induction. Please inform your induction representative if you have any reading, writing or language difficulties, and other induction arrangements will be made. This induction is for the site only and will be valid for 1 year from the date of issue. You may need to restate an induction if there are significant changes within this time. This project falls under CDM Regulations 2015. All personnel must comply with the site rules and health and safety legislation. Safety in mind. No job is so important and we cannot take time to do it safely. We operate a behavioural safety scheme where we look at the behavioural aspects of all persons working on site. We recognise safe working practices and require our staff and contractors to challenge and report unsafe behaviour. Vigiminute. As a company, we endorse that safety is at the heart of everything we do and we strive for an open and honest culture. Vigiminutes will be used as a tool to double check that all safety implications have been considered. Life-saving rules. Our safety vision is that everyone involved with safety in mind. We believe that safety is at the heart of everything that we do. No job is so important that we cannot take time to do it safely. Together, we strive for a safety culture that is open and honest. We will recognise and reward safe practices. The outcome will be that all our staff, contractors, customers and members of the public go home safe every day. We will achieve our vision by changing unsafe behaviours and praise safe behaviour, never leaving a safety issue that we see for someone else to deal with, encouraging a culture of questioning accepted practices, taking time to listen and look out for one another, taking responsibility for our own actions, always considering safety implications before making decisions, following the life-saving rules. The life-saving rules are: I stay away from lifting areas and areas where there is risk of falling objects or loads. I stay out of the path of moving vehicles, plants and equipment. I ensure I am always protected from the risk of falling from height. I only enter an excavation that has appropriate measures against ground collapse. In the presence of potential dangerous atmosphere, I test it before entering the area and I monitor it throughout my activity. I will only perform hot work when risks of fire or explosion are under control. I ensure sources of energy, electrical, mechanical, hydraulic, thermal, chemical, pneumatic, are securely isolated and controlled before, during the operations. When driving or operating equipment, I avoid phone calls and don't handle devices. I never work under the influence of alcohol or drugs. I signal and check potential blind spots before manoeuvring. Key project details. Bolton Raikes Lane works. Project duration: June 2025 to March 2026. Client: James Gray. Principal contractor and health and safety lead: Dean Wedge. Principal designer: Michael Stubbs. Key site contacts: Plant manager: Simon Vanston-Rumney. Maintenance manager: Stephen Wedge. Permit issuer: shift managers. First aiders: shift managers and senior optics. Fire marshal: shift managers. Access to site and welfare. Signing in. All contractors and visitors are required to report to Hurstwood Court to obtain a personal access control card, which will be used for accessing and exiting the site. To obtain an access card, you must have completed the site induction along with a permit acceptance induction if required. Welfare and hygiene. Welfare facilities will be located in a contractor's village at the rear of the TLS, which is accessed via the East Perimeter Walkway. Regular inspections will take place on all welfare facilities, and any abuse or misuse will not be tolerated. Designated smoking shelter is provided within the contractor's village. All smoking materials must be disposed of in the bins provided and not discarded on the floor. Fire muster point. The fire muster point is located at the northwest area of the front yard. Welfare and hygiene. Toilets can be found in the contractor's village within the TLS. If you need directions, please do not hesitate to ask. Please use the walkways provided. Disabled accessible toilets can be found within the TLS. Please ensure that you wash your hands in the facilities provided after visiting the plant. Please ensure you wash your hands before eating, drinking or smoking. The containment of litter is of vital importance to protect our environment and control pests. Please use the bins provided around the site. Driving and parking. Parking. Reverse parking is required on site. You must park in marked bays or designated areas as directed by Suez site staff only. All vehicles must display a contact phone number when parked on site. Parking on site is reserved for Suez staff and contractor supervisors only. Off-site parking. Parking on site during shutdown is restricted. Off-site parking is available at Salford Road, Overholton, Bolton, BL5 1DG, where a transfer back and forth from site will be provided. Driving and walkways. The speed limit on site is 5 miles per hour and is strictly enforced. Please use the walkways and designated crossing points were provided at all times. Disability and health conditions. If you are blind or partially sighted, hearing impaired or mobility impaired, please inform reception to make us fully aware. This will enable us to assist you further and ensure that any additional controls required are put in place. If you have health conditions which could affect you whilst on plant, please inform your Suez host. Conditions could include pacemaker, vertigo and joint pain. Personal protective equipment or PPE. PPE is required on site/plant once you enter the PPE zone. The minimum PPE required is as follows: hard hat, safety glasses, safety footwear, high-vis vest or jacket, and safety gloves. Additional personal protective equipment may be required depending on your risk assessment and method statement. All abrasive wheel work requires full face visor and RPE face mask rated to at least FFP2. Fire procedures. In the event of a fire, raise the alarm by activating the nearest call point. Leave by the nearest safe exit route and walk towards the fire assembly point. Dial 999 or 112. Fire assembly point. The assembly point for all personnel on site is located adjacent to the bike shed on the front yard. Fire alarm test. At this site, the fire alarm is tested weekly every Thursday at 11 AM. Smoking and antisocial behaviour. Smoking. Smoking is only permitted in the designated areas. The smoking areas are located adjacent to the weighbridge and the contractor's village. E-cigarettes come under the same rules as normal cigarettes, and the smoking area must be used. All smoking materials must be disposed of in the bins provided and not discarded on the floor. Violence, bullying, drugs and alcohol. We have a strict policy on the use of drugs and alcohol at work. You will be removed from site, and if you are suspected or found to be under the influence, you may not be allowed back. Violence and bullying will not be tolerated. First aid. This site's first aiders are listed on posters displayed around the facility. Ask a member of staff if you require first aid. Eye wash stations are located around the facility. First aid boxes are available throughout the facility. AED in the Permit Office and Hurstwood Court. Do not leave site without reporting an accident. The nearest accident and emergency A&E department is as shown here, 2.5 miles away. Royal Bolton Hospital, Minerva Road, Farnworth, Bolton, BL4 0JR. 01204 390 390. Accidents reporting. An accident is an unplanned event which resulted in an injury, harm or damage. All accidents and incidents must be reported to an employee on site and recorded in the accident book. Certain events must be reported under RIDDOR, where your full cooperation is required. A near miss is an incident that did not result in injury or damage but had the potential to do so. We record all near miss incidents, investigate them and put appropriate actions in place to prevent a reoccurrence. Please report all near misses using the forms provided and hand them to an employee on site. Permit to work. A permit to work is required for all contractor work. Permits are available from the Permit Office located in the contractor's village. Your permit must be displayed or available at your place of work. A permit to work will only be issued when a relevant risk assessment and method statements have been produced. For certain tasks, certification may be required before a permit is issued. Anyone leaving site without closing out a relevant permit or not abiding by the controls listed on the permit may be issued with an infringement notice. An infringement notice may stop you from working on our sites in the future. All persons accepting permits on behalf of themselves and their team will be required to undertake an additional permit acceptors induction and questionnaire. When all works are finished, a post-workplace inspection must be carried out before the permit can be completed and signed off. Risk assessments and method statements, RAMs. All contractor RAMs will be reviewed by our team prior to starting work. RAMs must be submitted in advance of any scheduled work. Ensure that you have hard copies with you at point of work, fully signed and understood by you and your team. If you need to deviate away from your working method, ensure you contact the permit issuer and gain permission to do so. If a deviation of method is granted, an updated set of RAMs must be provided prior to work recommencing. Workplace inspections. Workplace inspections will be carried out prior to any permit being issued or works commencing. Workplace inspections will also be carried out during the task. A final workplace inspection will also be carried out prior to any permit being suspended or surrendered. SUEZ staff will also conduct Vigi minutes and sim conversations on routine safety walk rounds. Confined spaces. Confined space entry and requirements. All entry to confined spaces will be controlled under a permit to work. A risk assessment and method statement must be produced and followed. These will form part of a safe system of work. Welding and oxyfuel cutting require ventilation. All persons must have had confined space awareness training as a minimum. The atmosphere must be tested before entering confined space. This will be carried out by a SUEZ authorised person. Do not enter confined space without an initial gas test reading being taken. When entering confined space, ensure that you are signed in and follow the site's entry procedures. If there is no sign-in point at the point of entry, do not enter. Hot work. Hot work fire precautions. All works must adhere to RC7. A fire watcher must be in place for all hot work activities where there is a risk of fire. There must be a sufficient number of adequate fire extinguishers nearby. Fire blankets must be used to provide protection where there are persons working below. Only oxypropane cylinders will be allowed on site. The fire watch must be maintained for a minimum of 60 minutes after completion of all hot works before the area is deemed safe and the permit to work can be cancelled. Welding. Welding screens must be in position in a suitable places to protect pedestrians and other workers. Adequate ventilation and fumes must be arranged. Spillages. If a spillage occurs, isolate the source if it is safe to do so. Cordon off the area and, if possible, contain using the spill kits provided. Try to prevent the liquid entering drains. Only tackle spillages of known substances. Use the information from the COSH safety data sheets. Inform a member of staff immediately. Spill kits. Spill kits are located around the site in yellow bins and are labelled. Do not use these to dispose of waste materials. Housekeeping. All work areas and welfare facilities are to be kept clean and tidy. Clean your work area frequently and throughout the day. Workplace inspections will be carried out to ensure your workplace does not have a build-up of housekeeping materials. Pedestrian walkways are to be kept free from debris, equipment and other objects. Dispose of your waste materials frequently and in accordance with any substance safety data sheets. Food and drink are only to be consumed in the welfare areas provided. Do not dispose of any substances down drains. Scaffolding. Scaffolding requirements. Please inform the Permit Office of any requirements. Scaffolding modifications. Scaffolding modifications are only permitted by qualified and authorised persons. Never take it upon yourself to modify or remove scaffolding. Scaffold access. When accessing scaffolding, always ensure that there is a valid scaff tag in place. Scaffolding is inspected every 7 days. If there is a do not use scaff tag or an out of date tag, report this to the Permit Office and do not use. Falling objects and working at height. Work at height. All work at height must be planned. Ladders are only to be used for access for short durations and very light work. MUP operators must have proof of competency. Falling objects. When dismantling equipment, all items that have potential to fall below must be secured. All tools and equipment should be stored away from ledges and in appropriate containers. Cover Kennedy grating with material to stop items falling through. Grating covers and falling object prevention kits are available from the Permit Office. Cordon off the area below with barriers and signs. Work equipment. Tools and equipment. All tools and equipment are to be checked before starting work. All mains powered portable tools are to be operated from a 110-volt supply. All electrical equipment must have a valid PAT test sticker on display. All cables are to be routed away from walkways to prevent trips. Equipment must only be used by those that are trained to do so and who hold relevant certificates, which must be presented before a permit to work is issued. Whip checks must be fitted to compressed air lines. Lifting equipment. Lifting equipment. All lifting equipment must be examined by a competent person in line with the lifting operations and lifting equipment regulations. Lifting equipment must be inspected before each use. Lifting operations. All lifting operations must be planned and supervised by a competent person. Pendant crane controls will only be available to those that have the adequate training. Slingers and riggers must be adequately trained. Proof of training must be provided when requested. COSH. Prior to bringing any chemical on site, we must ensure that it is on our approved chemical list. Please notify Suez. All chemicals must be accompanied by relevant MSDS. Users must wear the appropriate PPE when handling materials. Materials must be stored safely. Large chemical containers are to be stored on portable bunds. Disposal of chemicals is to be carried out via the hazardous waste route. No disposal of chemicals in the drainage system. RP earth-fed hoods are required for working with or systems involving the following hazardous substances. Boiler dust, first entry before cleaning. APCR, pulverized activated carbon, PAC, breaking it into pressurized systems. Hazardous areas. Control of substances hazardous to health. Chemical tanks on site contain sulfuric acid, calcium hydroxide, ammonia solution 25%, diesel fuel oil, Drugard 880 sodium nitrate, Biopers 3001 chlorine, Dufos 3600 phosphate, Amacor 8755, amine, amosite, which is hydrazine, APCR, air pollution control residue, boiler dust and chromium. Hazardous substances from work activities. Hexavalent chromium. Exposure causes adverse health effects including occupational asthma, eye irritation and damage, perforated eardrums, skin irritation, respiratory irritation, kidney damage, liver damage, nose irritation and damage, respiratory cancer. Can form when performing hot work such as welding on stainless steel. The high temperature involved in this process results in oxidation that converts the chromium to a hexavalent state. Therefore, those welding or grinding stainless steel are at particular risk. If you identify a suspicious deposit, avoid contact, make sure you do not disturb it, report it immediately to your site contact. Field test kits are available. If confirmed as hexavalent chromium, cleanup is typically carried out by a specialist contractor. Yellow deposits in the colder stages of a HRSG are usually sulfur, but if in doubt, have these checked. Dangerous substance explosive atmospheres, DSEA. Where there is pulverized activated carbon, this area is hazardous due to the combustible nature of the product. Additional work equipment and relevant training will be required for work within these areas and any other areas where you see the EX sign. Site hazards. Whilst care is taken to eliminate or reduce hazards, please be aware that hazards may be present on site. These include, but are not limited to, working at height, confined space, vehicle movements, slippery surfaces, hot surfaces, electricity, remote operated plant, chemicals, flammable liquids, DSEA zones, fumes, noise, lifting operations and dust. What we expect. Everyone must take time to familiarise themselves with the site, be fully trained to carry out their duties, adhere to control methods within the risk assessments and method statements, follow the permit to work conditions, cooperate with the site in emergency procedures, support good safety behaviour, make Suez staff aware of any shortcomings with regards to health and safety procedures and arrangements, must not intentionally recklessly interfere with or misuse equipment provided in the interest of health and safety arrangements, take reasonable care for the health and safety of themselves and others who may be affected by the Raikes emissions at work. If you are unsure about anything, ask for help. Asset management. Suez Recycling and Recovery UK have an accredited ISO 55001 asset management system, which enables us to differentiate from our competitors by providing an exceptional customer experience and maximising the value we deliver. The Suez Recycling and Recovery UK Asset Management Policy sets down the principles and requirements to steer asset management activity to achieve our organisation's objectives. It can be found on the notice boards on all sites. Please take time to locate and read the policy. As a collective, everyone shall comply with this policy and contribute towards the continuous improvement of the asset management system. Asset management is a coordinated activity of an organisation to realise the value from the assets. Everyone involved in the operations and maintenance of our facility has a role as an asset management to ensure that Suez realise maximum value from its plants by enabling us to achieve maximum performance. Compliance with the Suez maintenance standards, procedures and inspection and test plans (ITPs) will ensure that works are completed to the required standards. Please make sure that you are familiar with any applicable standards or procedures before works commence, and complete ITPs as necessary. Notice of infringement. If you receive a notice of infringement, this may result in you being banned from site and other Suez locations. A notice of infringement can be issued for any of the following non-exhaustive list of violations: leaving site without surrendering or suspending a permit, failure to abide by the controls listed in the permit, failure to carry out workplace inspection prior to the task requested by a senior authorised person, modifying any scaffold without authorisation or sufficient qualifications, being found to be under the influence of drugs or alcohol, acting in an aggressive or violent manner, entering a confined space without a permit, failing to comply with any site rule. Useful numbers. You may wish to note some of the useful contact numbers shown here. Royal Bolton Infirmary 01204 390 390. Local Police 01204 375 222. Main Reception 01628 967 056. Control Room 07733 018 728. Thank you for taking the time to complete this induction. If you have any questions, please speak to your induction representative. You will now be given a test to complete.